children have worked for family businesses for as long as time. Or if there is a lack of protection around kids in that area, great, go for that. Do I think the answer to what happened to the 8 passengers is taking away family vlogging from everybody? I don't think so.
Today we're going to be talking about Sherry Franke and the book that has just come out and Bonnie's response to it. If you don't know, Sherry Franke is the eldest of the 8 passengers' children. You have Kevin Franke, the dad, and Ruby Franke, the mother. Of course, Ruby Franke is now in prison and she'll be there for at least 4 years. Hopefully it'll be more, but who really knows at this point. Also there was her business partner, Jodi Hildebrand. I covered this extensively. I was covering them way before this news even broke out. I was covering the connections page. So I have a pretty solid understanding of the 8 passengers and also Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrand connections as a whole. So I made a community tab about it. I have in fact purchased this book and I'm into chapter 2. Just received it yesterday. So anything that I cover in this video is not going to be related to this book because I just want to be able to read it before I actually give, I want to read it before I start covering it, because I believe that every single thing that Sherry Franke has to say, this smart, wonderful, beautiful, courageous lady, along with all of her other siblings, I want to be able to actually absorb the whole book before I comment on any of the themes.
Is there anything that you would say to Ruby if you had the chance?
Probably tell her I'm happy without you.
Interestingly enough, Bonnie, who is Ruby Franke's sister, 5 siblings in total with Ruby Franke. Bonnie is a family vlogger. She's a family channel. Most of the siblings, aside from the brother, who I don't really know a lot about, to be honest, pretty much all of them are family vloggers. Some of them have decided to take their kids away from the limelight, in the spotlight of family vlogging. Bonnie has kind of just carried it on. There was a slight blip where she stopped showing her children. As a general rule, she does still show her children, and over the course of Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrand going to prison, all of this coming out, the spotlight has been shone on them, and I noticed, Reddit noticed, a lot of people noticed that, Sherry and Chad had stopped following Bonnie and stopped following the siblings. And it was a little bit of contention whether or not they are all still in communication, because we know that Bonnie especially was a very big voice against Kevin Franke, who is the dad. When Bonnie came out with this video, which I'm going to play bits of, I was very split. I've watched it 2 times and I can't help but feel, and I'm just going to get this straight off the bat first, I can't help but feel that pretty much most of the video, at least half of it, is her justifying the reasonings as to why she is nothing like her sister, which fair enough, completely fair enough. Therefore, family vlogging is completely different and the way it's going to impact the children is completely different. Basically trying to justify the fact that she's still going to carry on family vlogging.
We all have a lot of empathy. We have a lot of sympathy. Very sensitive towards other people's feelings. And I think Ruby tried being that same way. I think she could really see how the rest of us were, and I don't think she could ever be that way because her makeup was so different, her brain was wired so different.
And before I had even watched this video, which may have held me to a slightly higher bias, saw on the Reddit thread that they had posted from Chad Franke, who is the second eldest. He had posted on his Snapchat, because he's quite big over there. Someone asked, how do you feel about Bonnie's videos? And Chad said, felt defensive, it was unneeded, Sherry didn't appreciate it either. Sherry and Chad and Kevin have been extremely vocal about how they do not want family vlogging to continue.
There is no such thing as a moral or ethical family vlogger.
Want laws to change. They're very anti-family vlogging. They have actually got a 3-part series that's going to be coming out on Disney. When Chad was asked about it, how long is it? If multiple episodes, are they all coming out at the same time? He said 3 episodes, each are 50 minutes. I feel is incredibly important if they want to be able to get their story out there, spoken from their own mouths. Because if we remember, I think it was Lifetime, I think they did this Surviving Ruby Franke or whatever it was. Is that even aired yet? I really have no idea. I had no inclination to go and watch it because Sherry was saying that it's absolutely disgusting and disturbing how they were never even approached to be making anything, how they feel about this being made, and it was basically like a reenactment of everything that had happened. So the fact that they're going to be coming out telling their side of the story on this 3-part series over on Disney, I think is an amazing thing to do.
Like, oh, Jodi, like, you know, I don't like her, but maybe this is one good thing that's come from it, is she's not yelling, she's not hitting us anymore. But it did become more psychological, and in a way that was more damaging to me.
I do also understand as well that there are certain themes in this book that keep on being brought up to me and being brought up in general, such as the relationship between Ruby and Jodi. I haven't got to that point in the book, but this is something that I saw when Sherry Franke was addressing it on a morning show, and she basically found out that, yeah, that there was more to Ruby's and Jodi's relationship than was ever publicly announced, although you would have to be blind if you didn't notice the way that they were very close, touchy-feely. There was obviously something going on there because of their very strict beliefs that they always outwardly projected onto everyone else on their connections page about how homosexuality is a sin. Even though they used to say that, what Sherry has been saying does not surprise me.
I certainly got weird vibes from Jodi and Ruby. I don't think it's normal at all that a therapist would move into her client's home. I was moving out to college and I hadn't even left the house yet, and she is in my room and in my bed.
What was that relationship between the two of them?
Ruby tried to be secretive about it. I don't know all the details, but just the vibes that I was getting was that something was strange between them.
In the book, Sherry writing about messages between the two she says she found on Ruby's laptop after their arrest. That confirmed for me the truth about the nature of her relationship with Jodi and how it had spilled over into the physical. Ruby expressing her frustration about having to cater to Jodi's needs for physical affection without getting anything in return.
Get onto is Bonnie's response to the book, because of course Bonnie was always very outwardly spoken about how she, lost a lot of respect for Kevin, and she made this whole video basically talking about, we should be looking down on Kevin because Kevin didn't clock on quicker, and I know that that is what a lot of people think as well. However, Chad and Sherry and the other kids have decided to move forward with their relationship. Bonnie does address in this video that, she still holds similar beliefs, but she comes at it in a different tone.
Kevin has been a part of my life for a very long time, and Sherry was not easy on him in the book, and I feel rightfully so. If you were to ask Kevin himself, I think he would feel the same way. I think, how could you not regret not standing up a little bit more? And I did make a video about that, and I still stand by that, but I want to change my tone to that a little bit, and to also tell Kevin how much I love him. It would be impossible for him not to have learned from the situation. All of us have.
He also goes on to say that Ruby Franke was always extremely different to her siblings. It's like she had a different genetic makeup. She had different DNA. It was completely different, and that you can't compare her to any of the other siblings because they are so vastly different.
I think she could really see how the rest of us were, and I don't think she could ever be that way because her makeup was so different. Her brain was wired so different. And I think she tried really hard to mirror the way we were. But Ruby has always been extremely different. I've gotten the question a lot, have you learned nothing from Ruby? And the answer is no. I have learned nothing from Ruby because there is not a single shred of Ruby that I would want to be like.
Because no matter how much of that is true, I'm not saying that all of the siblings are like Ruby, that's not it at all, but I did feel like in this video it was basically a setup for her to address, as she puts it, the elephant in the room, which is family vlogging.
At the end of Sherry's book, she does say that she believes there should be no family vlogging. She has publicly voiced that there is no such thing as a moral or ethical family vlogger. If I came from the way family vlogging was done in Sherry's position and from her perspective, I agree with her 100%. There is not one thing about the way 8 passengers did family vlogging that was moral or ethical.
But because, you know, they're nothing like Ruby and they're giving their kids money, they've got money in the bank and they've got retirement funds which are doubling and all of this kind of stuff, because of that, you know, she's going to look at it differently, and they are not abusing their children. And, you know, we ask them if they want to do things, and we're really thinking about what we're doing. It's not the same.
I'm coming from a complete opposite perspective. My kids have a voice. Their feelings matter. They have a say in what they want. They are paid not with vacations, not with clothes or other things like that. They are employees, they get W-2s, and they have a retirement that is growing in the stock market as we speak.
I'm quite against, you know, family vlogging and exploiting your kids on social media like that. What I do think is that even if you're not physically and emotionally abusing your children off camera when you're family vlogging, does not mean that your kids will not grow up to A, resent you for family vlogging, or B, carry a lot of baggage from people knowing your business and you always being online. With the Franke children and the cousins and all of that kind of stuff, people know who they are. People are going to know, you know, Bonnie's kids. People are going to know that they are related to the Franke children, because it was such a high profile thing that went on. Even people that didn't watch family vloggers were learning about it and going, well, yeah, that is weird. That is weird how you'd want to film your kids day in and day out and tell everyone exactly what they're doing with the posse training and the punishments and the da-da-da-da-da, like a lot of family vloggers do. They get really carried away with it. You know, those kids, Bonnie's kids, might be recognized one day and maybe linked back to Ruby Franke's situation. And I said this from the very beginning. And if not, even if Ruby Franke had nothing to do with that, if you're just taking family vlogging as a whole, I wouldn't personally want to have my whole identity from even an adult. And by that point, even if you say I want everything to go because I don't want people to know, you know, what my very first words are or whatever, I don't want them to know that I was bullied in school. I don't want them to know, you know, really embarrassing moments or really precious moments in my life. I don't want that amount of eyes on me. Even if you say that, it's already too late because it's just been put out there.
Then we took it to our kids and we said, what would you guys think if we stopped showing you? You know, what if we kept filming and we just didn't show you? And it hurt their feelings. And they said, well, why would you do it without us? And it made them feel insignificant. It made them feel not a part of what we were doing.
It also goes on to say, well, you know, what really is informed consent? You know, she realizes there is such a thing as an informed consent and their kids cannot give informed consent. She recognizes that and she goes, well, the informed consent comes from me, so I make that decision for them.
A child can't even go in for a well check without parental consent. They can't be enrolled in school without the parental consent. And so their consent is me. I am their consent. And the informed part comes and weighs on my shoulders. And if you're looking at family vlogging from my children's perspective, it's apples and oranges compared to the 8 passengers. We are living 2 night and day different lives. And even after I finished reading Sherry's book in the car, I just bawled for so many layered reasons. And I asked the kids, I said, you know, I just want to address this again with you. If there is ever a point that you don't want to do this, we're done.
And I think the only thing I can really say to that is, you know, then you have to make a good decision. She says, you know, we asked the kids if they want to carry on doing this, and they said that they wanted to, but they can't understand the broader picture. And I could go into a huge, great big rant about this all day, but kids cannot give informed consent, especially when it comes to putting that child on the internet. Legally, you cannot, you know, you can't have a YouTube channel until I think you got to be 13. So why are under 13-year-olds being plastered all over the internet? Much more intimate way than a 13-year-old would ever post it themselves. Do you know what I mean? You have these parents who are just filming their kids potty training and filming their kids being told off and filming their kids opening presents. And actually, I think even a 13-year-old wouldn't want that sort of intimate perception of them being put online. So why are we allowed to show under 13s on YouTube or on TikTok, etc., etc.? I'm not actually quite sure what the age is. I'm pretty sure it's 13, 14, but I'm going to check that one out.
Children have worked for family businesses for as long as time. And sure, if there is a lack of protection around kids in that area, great, go for that. Do I think the answer to what happened to the 8 passengers is taking away family vlogging from everybody? I don't think so. Does that change my love and affection for Kevin and his children? No.
But she then does go on and she says in a comment, I know I want to show less and less of the kids. I already have moved in that direction, which to her credit, she kind of has ever since this all broke out. She has been showing her kids less. There are also kids that have come from family channels who continue to share their lives and are wonderful, thriving people. There is both. I think there is both, but unfortunately when it goes wrong, it goes extremely wrong. And there have been quite a few cases now where people have come out and they said family vlogging has literally ruined their lives, and they resent their parents massively for it. Family vlogging, yes, it's been around for over a decade at this point, but there has been quite a lot of people that have come out and they've gone like, you know, yeah, it wasn't great, I wish we hadn't done it. There's a lot of anonymous people as well. There's a lot of people that post things and then delete things, detailing how horrible it really was. And of course, not like, two people are not the same, but I feel like in this video, Bonnie was trying so hard to justify the reasonings as to why she will continue to show her kids. She's nothing like Ruby and her siblings are nothing like Ruby. And actually, it wasn't even family vlogging that did this. Actually, it was Ruby way before. I think when your niece is literally written a book detailing the horrendous things that have happened, the reasoning as to why they're not, you know, Ruby's not here, she's in prison for what she did to her children. If that has happened within the family, I can't blame it all on family vlogging. Yes, Ruby was a horrible person before. Even Sherry says this. So, you know, yes, all those things are true, but you can't sit there and say that family vlogging didn't influence Ruby to act a certain way, to try and get her, kids to act up for the camera. You can't say that, because actually a great deal of Sherry's book, even reading the blurb, talks about how difficult it really was being the child of a family vlogger. You then have Bonnie who's trying to justify the reasonings as to why she will continue to family vlog. I think it just all feels a little bit icky. But either way, Chad and Sherry were not happy with this, and yeah, Chad took to Snapchat and said, you know, I'm not happy with this. If I was in their position, I probably wouldn't be happy with it either, but I'm not in their position. I've never been in their position. I hope to never be in their position. So it's a really hard one for me to put myself into, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be very happy about it. And I did feel that Bonnie's video did just come across as a little tiny bit tone deaf to the broader picture of the fact that this has actually happened to, you know, her family. This has happened to her nieces, and your niece is very much saying that this is a very, very, very important topic to them. And for Bonnie to just sort of brush it off and go, well, you know, we're not like Ruby, therefore it's never going to end up like that. Our kids are consenting to it, even though they can't give informed consent. I can understand why Sherry and Chad, and probably Kevin as well, are annoyed by this. But that is pretty much all I've got to say to you guys today. I'm going to edit this video and then go back to reading Sherry's book. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.